Okay, the letter continues. It's not yet over. It's just half the part. The remaining half of the letter. It is like this. He spoke almost perfect English, but it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. He had learned all he knew of England from school and from reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book, Far from Madding Crowd. It is the book of this writer called Thomas Hardy. Anyway, you wouldn't have heard it. In future, you can read such books from your libraries around you, from the school, even in the net, you can get these kind of books. Let me explain. So, the dialogue between two officers. One is an English officer, another one is a German officer. Both are officers for time being in 1914, World War I. One was a school teacher, other one was a musician from a church. Now he started telling, Dorset? Yes, I know the Dorset. But they started talking. I understood he doesn't know Dorset. But still, I promoted it. Connie, you have to understand, that person is trying to say Dorset. I understood that he never came to England, he never seen England itself properly. Then where is he going to see a small town like Dorset in western part of England? But still, I promoted it. And the talk was going on. And I came to know that he learned all these things not from watching or something, from the book what he read. Because every novel, every book what he's reading gives him a lot of knowledge about some new places. Lot of knowledge about new places can be gained from stories. That is why we are also learning this. Now we are getting an idea of history. World history book, it will not be written. This story will not be written. But you see, these are the way we get a better information and the real picture of what is really happening even in the war field. A beautiful example from war field, enjoying the Christmas between enemies. So understand that. So one of the book he is explaining here, he used to read Thomas Hardy's book and his favorite book was Far from the Madding Crowd. Next. So out there in no man's land, we talked of Brestaba and Gabriel Oak and Sigmund Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and one son born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere. So here is just telling that. And when the function went on, one team is in khaki dress. You know what is khaki color? The NCC color. And other one is in grey coat. The German people were in khaki and the British people were in grey coat to identify the enemies. Like a football team, you have yellow color, other one is having red color. Even the enemies put that. You know that soldiers are having different kinds of uniform depending upon this place. In snow they use white one, in forest they use another greenish one. In normal condition they have a beautiful army green. Different dresses. So they were in that way. So they were enjoying in no man's land just like friends. I can't explain that. They were simply enjoying the Christmas in no man's land, forgetting that they were enemies. And when I asked about his family, he had one child 6 months ago. And as far as I am concerned, you know it. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere. There were so many were playing there. All over no man's land, smoking, laughing, talking, drinking, eating. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas cake, Connie. He thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. I agreed. We agreed about everything. And he was my enemy. There never was a Christmas party like this, Connie. So he is telling the emotion to the wife, telling Connie, like this there was no Christmas. My enemy is sharing my marzipan. You know what is marzipan? Marzipan is the very sweet outer coating on the cake. Usually in India we don't see much, but if you go to European countries, the cake is covered with a thick layer of sugar, egg and almonds paste. Sugar, egg and almond paste, they cover it, freeze it. That particular part is called actually marzipan. I have just given an explanation. A sweet covering on a cake made from sugar, again, almonds. Nowadays, they add different flavors, different colors to make it looking chocolatey color, red color, green color, so many colors. But basically, all the decorative part, the sugar part, is called marzipan. Nowadays, even on costly toffees, these coverings are coming. To get a better taste in the starting, when you go inside, it becomes chocolate. Understood the point? Marzipan. So, what was happening? They were sharing all the food they had, all the drink, dancing, everything. And when you gave me a marzipan, do you remember? That marzipan, when we shared, he said, this is the best one I had ever tasted. I also simply agreed. Maybe good or bad, I don't know. But he is my enemy, now he has become my friend. He is in the good mood, he is praising about your marzipan. I agreed it. And it was going on. Such a beautiful Christmas. Then someone, I don't know who, bought out a football. Great coats were dumped in the piles to make goal posts, and the next thing we knew, it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of the no man's land. Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping out the feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. The next thing, I cannot explain what has happened all of a sudden. Somebody started it. All the German soldiers removed their the khaki coat, and piled it in two places to make football post. Suddenly the Tommies, that is English people, they removed the grey coat, they made two posts. They started playing football. All were running here and playing football, and me as an officer and Hans Wolf as their officer started cheering and clapping. I am not able to explain in the word. Such a beautiful Christmas Eve, Coney, like that, his words are unlimited. There was a moment when I noticed our breath mingling in the air between us. I could feel that his breath and my breath is mingling, even though we are enemies. Now in the no man's land, his breath and my breath is mixing together, mean we were so close internally as well as externally. Not only our physically we were close, but internally. That is why this dialogue is used. Even my breath is mixing together with my enemy, shows that we became so close. This is the beauty of the language. Straight meaning if you take, it becomes science. But if you take the indirect meaning or the depth, if you go in, you get another meaning that we became very close. Even saying saas leta hai hum log. In Hindi we talk like that, something like that. Even the air we started sharing each other. He saw it too and smiled. Jing McPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. No wives became widows. An army officer is telling every war in the world must be settled with a football match or something else, not with the guns and weapons. Because in a football match, no one dies. Because in a football match, nobody become orphan. That means no child is losing the parent. And no lady become widows. Every war in the world must be resolved something like this. You just imagine what a Christmas has done between two opposite teams. One day before, they were ready with the guns to shoot each other when somebody's head is coming out of the trench. And today, they are enjoying the food what they bought from their home, from their places, and sitting together, enjoying a game. Between the game, the two leaders are talking this dialogue, telling all the war should be settled with a football match. Those who win, they won the war. No one dies, no one become orphans, and nobody become widows. Such a beautiful thinking. I would prefer cricket, I told it. As the German person told football, because Germany, football is one of the favorite game of Germans. Whereas English people, you know it, county cricket. They are very famous in county cricket. In their blood, one game is there that is called cricket. The people who invented or started the game in the world. So, Jim McPherson told, I would prefer cricket. The Tommy's leader, Jim, told, you are preferring football, I would prefer cricket because we can play better and we can win the game. I told him, then we Tommies could be sure of winning, probably. We Tommies, that means we English people can win the game because we are good in cricket. We laughed at that and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Connie, Fritz won, 2 goals to 1. But at the end of the football game, we English people lost. We put only 1 goal, but as Germans put 2 goals. But it was, as the Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than there, so it wasn't quite fair. But he said, sir, this victory is not a big victory. The goalpost was wider. That is why you lost it. Nothing to matter about it. Then time came and all too soon, when the game was finished, the snaps and the rum and the sausage had long since run out. Run out is a verbal phrase. Understand this. Run out. Run is a verb. Run out together is a verbal phrase giving a different meaning. Run, you know the meaning. But run out, the meaning is out of stock. Out of stock. It is run out. Run out means it's over. But what is the meaning of run? You are knowing it. So, when we are using a verb with another word, which is called a verbal phrase, the meaning becomes totally different one. That is why I gave this. Otherwise, there is no big meaning in it. But the verbal phrase is having a different meaning. Keep that in mind because in the exercises, you have lot of verbal phrases which has to be clarified by you as an exercise. There you can use this. Like that, so many verbal phrases you can find out. Switch off, put on the coat. It's like that, so many verbal phrases you can find out. Day-to-day life you are talking, but you are not noticing it, whether it is a verbal phrase or it is simply a verb. Switch on is not a verb, it is a verbal phrase. There are 2 words, switch on. Understand that. And we knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. So, every game is over, time is up, they started parting to their own trenches. I think that was what every soldier wants on both sides. Hans Wolf said, take care, Jim McPherson, I shall never forget this moment, nor you. He saluted and walked away from me slowly. Unwillingly, I felt. He turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey-coated men drifting back towards their trenches. By saying all these things, he said, bye. I wish you will be meeting your family very soon. He does not want to go. I felt it. But what to do? He has to go. He is the enemy. He started going with the other people belongs to him. That night, back in our dugouts, again one more word. Little different from trenches. It is written, a shelter made by digging a hole in the ground and covering it for the soldiers. In the trenches, we don't cover. We just jump into and just wait. Dugout, we put a cave-like structure. We go inside and escape from bigger grenade and missile attacks. For some time, you can be safe because the earth will save you. You are making some caves, make a trench and make a side hole. That is what is meant by dugout. That means suddenly nobody can say or nobody can see that you are hiding inside. That is why it is called dugouts. A shelter made by digging hole in the ground and covering it for soldiers. Again, this is only in war fields. That night back in our dugouts, we heard them singing carol and singing it quite beautifully. It was Still Nacht. That is German language. The meaning is given silent night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of while shepherds watched. We exchanged carols for a while and then we all fell silent. We had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. So, what is meant by rousing? Rousing means creating a feeling, exciting or insisting or inspiring. He is rousing me. Somebody says, one meaning can be, he is inspiring me or he makes me something to feel better. That song roused me. I mean, that song is taking me into some other level of emotions. That is what is meant by rousing. Understood the point? Once again I am telling, in the dugouts, after all the party is over, game is over, they went to their dugouts. In the night, one team is singing a song, carol song. Carol song, you are knowing it? You would have seen it in the TV and other thing. Basically, it is happening at the time of Christmas. Group of people enjoying with a lot of songs. Telling the world that Jesus is born. It is just a ritual, a kind of memory that Jesus was born, and that happiness we are sharing with others, that the Savior of the world has come. So when the carol singing was going on in German side, we also replied with another beautiful carol, and ours was Wild Shepherds. And afterwards there was a silence, and I would say it is like a treasure for me that day. It was the best Christmas which I enjoyed. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon. I am sure for it. Your loving, Jim. With this, the letter is getting over. Here he is telling, Connie, I would like to say, even though I am an army person now, even the opposite army does not want to kill each other. They all wanted to go back to their family, and they want to see that everything is peacefully finished. But I can say that by next Christmas Eve, this all things will be a terrible thing. War will continue. But I hope I'll be coming to you and meeting you as soon as possible, and I hope that it will happen with your loving Jim. With this, the letter is over.